and certainly a good performance, though. It's a stepping stone for him, I think.
No surprises then so far. Alexei Yagudin leads. Cheng Yang Li in second place for China. Stefan Lindemann in third, and the disappointments really, Blashenko, but particularly Dimitrenko from the Ukraine, bronze medalist in Vienna, and now in fifth place at the moment, with still several skaters who could get in front of him still to go. He's looking at 7th, 8th, or maybe even 9th place in this qualification group.
Well, the sort of performance we expected from Yagudin. He's leading at the end of this men's qualifying section. They're further down the standings. Delfini, we saw a few moments ago, did not have a particularly good skate. To bring you right up to date on what happened overnight, there was a drug story, pretty big one too. The World Pairs champions, Elena Bereznaya and Anton Sika Hadalidze, failed a drugs test. Banned stimulant was the diagnosis of the test taken at the European Championships. Elena Bereznaya claimed that it was taken to treat bronchitis, but they have withdrawn from these World Championships. More on that story throughout the day. But now we've seen some action, of course, out on the ice there in Nice, and Yagudin, of course, is leading there. But some great performances, Nicky Walker. Nicky Walker, very good, very good. Sorry, Nicky. Nicky Slater, but Cheng Lang Li and Stefan Lindemann, the world junior champion, tremendous performances by them.
Yeah, Stefan in particular was really good. All the jumps were very clean, and he was working the program. He seemed very relaxed for this stage of the competition, very strong. And there's not a lot of pressure on him to be kind of doing anything, so I think, you know, he can come out of there and just do what he wants. And winning the World Juniors is really a fillip these days. And the fact that they can do World Juniors and flip-flop straight into Worlds didn't used to be able to happen a long time ago. Now it's easier, so they use it as a platform. And the Chinaman is great, but artistically there's great big gaps in the performance. So one of the judges did give this 5.1 for artistic impression, and because there's this big hole, and it's not enough these days just to be able to do the technical. But Alexei Yagudin, he looks slimmer actually. He looks to me like he's much fitter than he was at the Europeans, and really pumped up. And that hole in the program to be able to redo the quad at the start, that's kind of excellence in choreography, and the way that was done was brilliant.
We'll look at that more closely a little bit later on, but notice that he did break that hand, of course, or broke a bone in his hand. There was no strapping on the hand, there was no brace.
No, and I did think that, I mean, from what I've heard, it's been hurting, but I think he's decided to go without it, and he just doesn't show at all, so maybe it's completely okay now.
Very interesting. Bit of psychology going on there. Now, if you have any questions about the sport of skating, about these World Championships, you can email our man Nicky, and there is the address there, Nicky Slater at iceskater.co.uk. Anything you want at all, you know, what conditioner he uses, how much he uses, why British skating has gone down.
We won't be able to answer any of the questions, but right anyway.
There's the address to confirm, Nicky Slater at iceskater.co.uk. Get those questions in. We will answer anything you ask us. Okay, much more to come from Nicky in just a moment. But before that, a chance to catch up on all the other sporting stories making the news today in Sports Centre. And we'll start with football and what's proving a good day for Tony Adams. England coach Kevin Keegan has dropped his broadest hint yet that he's planning to choose the Arsenal defender to succeed Alan Shearer as captain of the national team. Keegan told TalkSport Radio that Adams is favourite to take the armband, especially if he can enjoy an injury-free run in the side. And yes, welcome back to the World Figure Skating Championships on the French Riviera. This is Nice, very close to Monte Carlo. Nicky Slater, of course, former British champion, is alongside me. And Nicky, these championships were supposed to be in Brisbane. What happened?
They were indeed, and then there was a great big kerfuffle about some misunderstanding about television coverage and that being up to scratch, and the ISU pulled the championships from Brisbane. Now there's people with tickets to go to Australia that haven't been able to stop it. The people in Australia and the Sports Council are suing the ISU. That's been put off until after these championships. And I heard that they were going for $12 million Australian as compensation. But it's a major thing, and in Australia they don't feel they've been very well treated. and I know the IOC will have reasons for it, but to pull something from a host nation late on is just a really big problem. Not good for the sport.
There's a lot of big stories knocking about. There's that, and obviously the drug scandal with the World Pairs Champions pulling out of these championships at the last minute. But some great action on the ice. Alexei Yagodin living up to expectations perhaps today.
Yeah, Alexei was really brilliant for me. I think the highlight was the way that he's got his program choreographed in the opening minutes. It's done so that if it goes wrong and if he doesn't feel quite right with the quad toe loop, that he can actually then redo it. So in making up this routine, he'll know and feel the ice for the first jump. And he'd done it in the warm-up twice, so he was set. And the quad is so critical at this stage in the competition to be establishing that as well as the other triples. And you'll note the way the steps balance, there's like a rhythm to them that help him set, and he gets the turn of rotation. But he's got such strength, he felt it just wrong, so he stopped it in the air. Now breathe. One of the features of his programs has been the fact that he works up to an element and then he stops and takes a breather, and it lets you settle inside yourself, get your rhythm, and here is exactly the same step sequence coming into that quad again with the same rhythm, just the other end of the rink, and there we go. Very clever.
Yeah, and Simon Reed was talking in his commentary about Lindemann, the world junior champion. He didn't quite have the maturity, perhaps the mental strength. What does that tell you about Yagodin's maturity and his experience?
Well, when you're ringside, when Alexei jumps, it's the height and the strength, and it's the overall aura and charisma that he can put onto the ice. He takes up a lot of space. He's not a big guy, and yet he has that, it's an attitude of a champion. You can see people that know they're champions, they skate like champions, and they literally take the ice. And it's so impressive, and it makes a big difference. And the younger ones coming up, they look at everybody else and they learn it from them, and then start to develop that more and more. But I mean, he looks, Yagodin, Alexei, there's a lot of strength here, and he has something to prove. And I think there's the talk about him drinking too much and all this, but I like him because he's got such courage, such strength, and he goes out there and he goes, I'm going to do this, you know, and that's what we need in this sport. We need people that are going for it. I think the men's is going to really shape up this week. It's going to be exciting.
And you say that you think he looks in particularly good shape for these championships?
Yeah, he does look like he's slimmed down from the Europeans a little bit, just a little bit more toned, and that's very, very important that he's on peak form. And a lot of the skaters will time their training so that they peak at the World Championships. And there's a lot of exhibitions and shows and stuff going on in America. And you do those to earn the money. And it's just getting that rhythm right. And it's the balance between earning the money, doing the number of competitions you've got to do, and getting right for the Worlds. But the Worlds is the big one to be right for.
And the way he recovered in that program, he didn't panic. How important is it to stay relaxed in that sort of situation?
I think that's what makes a difference with a champion, when they can do that. But it's also your coach, when your coach has that experience to be able to push that in for you. And you know, we saw one of the skaters being really pumped up, but this is a different approach. This is, you know, I know he can do it, but if it goes wrong, he knows exactly what to do. So it's almost a programming in your head, and you've visualized it, and you just go and do it.
And what role does the coach play in all this? I mean, Yagodin's obviously pretty experienced now. He's done it at the highest level.
Different coaches do it different ways, and I think the clever ones adjust the way they are with their psychology to the person they're teaching, because they see the way the person reacts under pressure, and some need space, some need protection, some need boosting, and also different coaches have different personalities, and you'll see them really getting up, and others are like, you know, hold it down here. Interesting. I love it when they have the split screens, and you see when the person's doing the jump, and some of the coaches are like, oh, and others are going, yes, it's cool.
Chang Lang Lee, you know, he sounds like a Bay City Rollers song, but I mean, it's a great, well, it does, doesn't it? I mean, it was a great performance by the Chinaman as well, wasn't it?